listeners, and welcome to yet another episode of the Nigerian Football Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Olu Oke. Today is episode 65, and I'm recording this on a Friday as usual. First of all, rest in peace to the Queen. She passed away yesterday, so as a result, there will be no Premier League games happening over the weekend, this weekend. But anyway, it's been an eventful week of Nigerian football play, so without any further ado, let's get into it. Over the last week in the Premier League, we saw Jaribo Southampton lose 1-0 to Wolves away. He did start the game, but played 72 minutes. So at the moment, they're ninth in the league. Initially, they were going to play Brentford, but obviously, that's not happening this weekend anymore. Speaking of Brentford, Frank Onyeka came off the bench on Saturday for 31 minutes as Brentford beat Leeds 5-2. Superb hat-trick from Ivan Toney. Shout out to him. So that was a good one as well for Frank Onyeka. The Nottingham Forest lot, man, honestly, it just keeps going from bad to worse. They were winning 2-0, and then they lost 3-2 to Bournemouth at home on Saturday. Awoniyi came off 29 minutes, and Dennis only played 11 minutes. Still baffling to me why they don't start at the moment, considering the quality at that club. And then Alex Iwobi continues to shine for Everton. Shout out to him. He played superbly well again. And it's been a real star for Everton, to be fair. They drew 0-0 at home to Liverpool in the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, which is no embarrassing feat when you think about the strength of their opponents. And finally, Kelechi Iheanacho finally scored his first league goal of the season for Leicester. And Wilfred Ndidi also started, but he started as centre-back. And this was a bad loss because they lost 5-2 to Brighton away on Sunday. Honestly, Leicester look really, really bad. They're rooted to the bottom of the league, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon. Other results in the Prem. Chelsea beat West Ham 2-1. Nottingham Forest, I've already mentioned that one. Newcastle drew 0-0 to Crystal Palace at home. Tottenham beat Fulham 2-1 at home. Really, really good goal by Mitrovic in that game as well. Aston Villa managed to get a draw in a 1-1 game against Manchester City at home. And then Manchester United unfortunately beat Arsenal 3-1 on Sunday. So Arsenal's unbeaten record is now gone. And then after the Champions League game on Wednesday, Thomas Tuchel got fired. So that was a bit of a shame to see. Moving on to Serie A, and we saw Victor Osimhen play really, really well on Saturday night as Napoli beat Lazio 2-1 away. Really, really good performance. It's one of those performances that shows how a striker can be effective in a game without scoring or assisting. And he also had a very, very eventful first half on Wednesday as Napoli thrashed Liverpool 4-1. He actually came off injured just before halftime, but within that time, he managed to hit the bar in the first minute of the game. He missed a penalty, and he also passed the ball to Kvaratskhelia, also known as Kvaradona, who had his shot cleared off the line. So really, they could have beat Liverpool by almost 7 goals. Next up for them, Osimhen is likely going to miss the game, but they play Spezia tomorrow at a 2 p.m. kick-off. Ademola Lookman's Atalanta continue their electric start to the season. They remain top of the table. Ademola Lookman actually grabbed an assist, and he had a goal chalked off. Well, he scored, but it was later given to someone else. I think it was a deflection in the 2-0 win away to Monza on Monday night. So long may it continue for Atalanta and Lookman. Next up for them, they play Cremonese at home on Sunday in the 11:30 a.m. early kickoff. Moving on to Alliance Torino, he came on for the final 10 minutes in their 1-0 win over Lecce on Monday night. They're 6th in the league, so they're also doing pretty well. But it does get easier because their next game is away at Inter Milan on Sunday. Isaac's successes, Udinese are currently 4th in the league. They've also started really, really well. They beat AS Roma 4-0 on Sunday night. No goal or assist for Isaac's success, but he did start the game, which was good to see. Next up for them, they play Sassuolo away on Sunday in 2 p.m. kickoff. Tadebo's Empoli, he was injured for the game, but they drew 2-2 away to Salernitana on Monday night. We'll see if he's back this Monday night as they host AS Roma, although it looks like he's got quite serious injury problems, or he's just never fit. And then speaking of Cremonese, where we've got David Okereke and Cyril Dessers, they both started in a 0-0 draw to Sassuolo at home on Sunday. It was their first point of the season, but it looks like it's going to be a long season for them. I mean, 5 games, 4 losses, 1 point. It's not looking good. And next up for them, they play Atalanta away on Sunday in the early kickoff. So I don't put it this way. I don't think they're going to do that well this season. But I just hope Dessers and Okereke continue at least do well in terms of their personal careers. Moving on to La Liga, Samuel Chukwueze's Villarreal. He came off the bench and played 40 minutes on Sunday in a 4-0 thrashing of Elche. They're now third in the table with 3 wins and 1 draw from their first 4 games. They're only behind Real Madrid and Barcelona, which is nothing to be ashamed about. And then yesterday on Thursday, Chukwueze scored an outstanding volley in the UEFA Conference League for Villarreal against Lech Poznan. He also got an assist in the game for Alex Baena, which is really, really good to see. Next up for them, they play Real Betis away on Sunday night. That could be a really, really good game because Betis have started the season strong as well. So let's see if he keeps his place. Omar Sadiq, he's been playing really, really well. He played the second half over the weekend for his debut for Real Sociedad, and he also scored on his debut in a 1-1 draw against Atletico Madrid. So he's got 3 goals from his first 4 La Liga games. He's looking really, really good. Yesterday, he did start against Manchester United in the Europa League, but he was taken off at half-time. It wasn't his best outing, although Real Sociedad did win the game 1-0, courtesy of a David Silva penalty. Next up for them, they play Getafe away on Sunday in a 5:30 p.m. kickoff game. Moving on to Ligue 1, and probably the form striker out of all the Nigerians in the top 5 leagues so far, Terem Moffi's Lorient. Lorient are currently 5th in the league. They're only 3 points behind PSG after back-to-back wins. Innocent Bonke has also been playing. On Sunday, they beat Ajaccio 1-0 away, and then they followed it up on Wednesday with the superb 3-1 win at home against Olympique Lyonnais. Moffi scored the second goal, so he's now got 5 goals in 6 appearances this season. So long may it continue. And guess what? On Sunday, Lorient face Nantes, who've got Moses Simon. So it's the battle of the Nigerians. So that should be really, really fun to see. Speaking of Moses Simon, he did not play on Saturday in Nantes' 3-0 loss against PSG because he was injured. But he did make his return from injury on Thursday off the bench in a Europa League game for Nantes. He played 36 minutes in the 2-1 win over Olympiacos, with Nantes scoring a last-minute winner, which was really, really good to see. So let's see if Simon gets back into the starting lineup for the game on Sunday against Lorient. And finally, top 5 leagues, Bundesliga. Kevin Akpoguma has started the season really, really well. He started his 3rd straight game of the season in a 1-0 loss to Borussia Dortmund on Friday night. They're currently 4th. They're now 7th. They dropped from 4th to 7th. But surely he has to be called up for the friendly against Algeria later this month. Like, he's been playing really well. I think him and Bassey could really become the Nigerian starting centre-back pairing, especially when you consider how badly Ekong and Balogun have faded. Next up for Akpoguma's Hoffenheim, they play Mainz at home on Saturday in a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. And then Chidera Ejike, he continues to start games as well, but no goal or assist yet. He did start on Sunday as they won their first game of the season, though, 2-0 away to Aalborg, so well done to them. Next up for them, they play Leverkusen at home on Saturday as well in a 2:30 p.m. kickoff. So let's see if he could start the game in that one as well. So that's it for the top 5 leagues in Europe. And then moving on to the non-top 5 leagues as usual, starting with the Premier Liga. Zaidu Sanusi was not in the squad over the weekend for Porto as they beat Gil Vicente 2-0 away on Saturday night. And then he was back in the starting lineup and played well on Wednesday as Porto were very, very lucky to lose 2-1 to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. Porto actually equalized in stoppage time, and somehow they still conceded with the last kick of the game in stoppage time to Antoine Griezmann. So really, 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 really poor. Next up for them, they're back in league action against newly promoted Chavez at home tomorrow night, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. kickoff. And then Casapia, Xavier Godwin, he did start again in the 0-0 draw against Aruca on Sunday. They remain 7th, so not bad considering they've just been promoted. Next up for them, they play Pacos de Ferreira away on Sunday. In the Dutch Eredivisie, Kevin Bassey continues to impress, and he's definitely my star boy of the week. He got back-to-back assists and clean sheets. Starting over the weekend, Ajax beat Cambur 4-0 in the league. And then on Tuesday, while playing against Rangers, his former employers, Ajax beat Rangers 4-0, with Bassey also getting an assist in that game. So his reputation is growing massively, especially in Netherlands, where they've got quite a lot of respected footballers. So we love to see it. And long may it continue for Kevin Bassey. Next up for him, they play Heerenveen at home tomorrow night. In the Belgian league, we have seen Rafael Oyedika make his debut for Club Brugge. He started last week Friday in a 4-0 win at home against Cercle Bruges. And then he made his Champions League debut on Wednesday in a 1-0 win over Bayer Leverkusen. Surely he has to be a shoo-in for the Nigeria squad unless they don't know what they're doing. And the most incredible part is he's just 21 years old. How amazing is that? Next up for Club Brugge, they play RFC Serang tomorrow night in the league. Alassane Youssouf's Royal Antwerp continue to flourish. They've won 7 out of 7 games. They've got maximum points in the league so far, top of the league. They beat Westerlo 3-0 on Sunday, and Alassane Youssouf continues to start every game. He's not the person who has to be a shoo-in for the squad. I don't care what they're doing there. They better call him up for Nigeria. Next up for Royal Antwerp, they play Cercle Bruges away on Sunday. Polonarchu continues to struggle for Genk, playing minimal minutes. He came off the bench to play 17 minutes on Saturday in their 0-0 draw against STVV. So I don't really know what's going on there. Still no goals for him this season. Next up for them, they play Union Saint-Gilloise away on Sunday. So that's going to be a tough game for Onuachu. Although, in Genk's credit, they are second in the league. Speaking of Union Saint-Gilloise, Victor Boniface, the striker, he did start in a 3-1 win over Zulte Waregem on Sunday night. And then he had a really nice assist yesterday in the Europa League in a 1-0 win away to Union Berlin. So shout out to him. And I'm sure he'll start the game against Genk at home on Sunday. So good luck to the Nigerian players. And then Anderlecht, Ishak Abdulrazak, the central midfielder / fullback. He came on for the final 12 minutes in their league game on Sunday against Oud Hervele Leuven. This was a 2-2 draw. And then he was on new sub in the UEFA Conference League yesterday as Anderlecht beat Silkeborg 1-0, courtesy of a goal from Fabio Silva. Next up, Anderlecht, they play Westerlo away on Sunday in the lunch kickoff at 12:30 noon. So fingers crossed for him. In the Czech Republic, over the weekend, we saw Peter Lajenka start and Uzo come on for the whole second half in a 1-1 draw against Slovako away on Sunday. And then Peter Lajenka scored a really good goal yesterday in the UEFA Conference League draw away to Ahmed Musa Sivasspor. Uzo also started the game, and one of their teammates missed the last-minute penalty to win the game. So really poor in that regard. Next up for them, they play a team called Kashk Budajovic at home on Sunday. So good luck to them. In the Danish league, we've seen Akiku Miyamo ruled out with a long-term injury announced by FC Copenhagen. On the other hand, we saw Paul Mukairo come on for the final 19 minutes on Friday last week in a 1-0 win over Silkeborg. And then Mukairo was an unused sub in their Champions League game against Borussia Dortmund on Tuesday as they got thrashed 3-0 in the Champions League. Next up for them, they play Odense away on Saturday. In Croatia, we saw Chidozia Waziem start in a 5-1 win over Slaven Belupi at home on Sunday. Next up for them in the league, they play Sibenik away later on tonight. In the Turkish league, Henry Onyekuru and David Akintola. Onyekuru started and Akintola came off the bench as they scored a last-minute equalizer to draw 1-1 against Hatayspor away on Sunday. Next up for them, they played Trabzonspor at home on Monday night. Fenerbahce's Bright Osai Samo, he came on for the final 12 minutes in their league game on Saturday night in a 2-0 win over Kayserispor. And then he was on new sub in the Europa League yesterday as they beat Dynamo Kiev 2-1, courtesy of a Michy Batshuayi last-minute winner. They've got no game this weekend. And then finally, Ahmed Musa has moved to Sivasspor from Fatih Karagümrük. So he made the move in the last few days. And he came off the bench in their Europa League game on Thursday. Their Conference League game against Slavia Prague yesterday. Played the final 18 minutes. Next up for them, they play newly promoted Istanbulspor AS at home on Sunday. Starboy of the week, as I said, has to be Kevin Bassey. We can't only give credit to the attackers every time. Kevin Bassey continues to impress with back-to-back assists, back-to-back clean sheets as well. 4-0 against Cambur in the league, 4-0 against Rangers in the Champions League. Great reputation and just playing his ass off every time. So shout out to Kevin Bassey. He is the future of Super Eagles defense, and he's one of those players that if we did not cap him already, England would have been sniffing, I'm telling you. So shout out to him. Nigerian news, the Super Falcons lost 2-1 to USA narrowly on, I think it was Monday night, or was it Tuesday? Tuesday. Uchenna Kanu did score a great goal, though, and it was the first goal conceded by the USA against an African team since the year 2000, which is crazy. And also, the US team had not conceded in almost 10 games, so fair play to Uchenna Kanu. The Chance Eagles, they lost 2-0 to Ghana in the first leg, as I mentioned. They did win the second leg 2-0, but then they lost 5 from penalties, so they will not be in the tournament. Also, we should be expecting the squad announcement for the friendly against Algeria very soon. Alassane Yusuf, Rafael Ndika, and Kevin Akpoguma all deserve call-ups as far as I'm concerned. Would be good to see Alex Iwobi play as an 8 in this game and Aribo as a 10 like they do for their clubs. I'd like to see Bassey and Akpoguma form a centre-back partnership. So let's see what Jose Peseiro will do. In terms of ones to watch game-wise this weekend, there's no Premier League games, as I said. So Olajuwon's Torino are in action against Inter away tomorrow at 5 p.m. Lukman's Atalanta plays against Cyril Dezes and David Okerike's Cremonese on Sunday at 11:30. Terem Moffi's Lorient play against Moses Simon's Nantes on Sunday at 2 p.m. game. And then we see Umar Sadiq's Real Sociedad play Getafe away on Sunday. Let's see if he can keep up his great form so far this season. Victor Boniface, Union Saint-Gilloise plays Polonaciu's Genk Sunday, 5:30 p.m. kickoff. And then finally, Samuel Chukwueze, let's see if he can get back in the starting lineup in terms of league games as Villarreal play Real Betis away on Sunday as they look to continue their great start to the season. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks again to everyone who's listened. I'll make sure I put this one on YouTube. I had a bit of a mishap last week, even though it was still available on all streaming platforms. Please remember to continue to follow us on our social media channels at NFWPOD on Twitter. Please also give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts if you enjoy what you're listening to. Thanks again for listening to this, and I'll be sure to bring you the roundup of how our players have played over the weekend next week. Peace out. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigerian they ever carry last.